Hey everyone, my name's Andy. I'm from the Finding Value Finance channel. Today, again, we've got a repeat customer. I was going to call him Win Moon, but I guess he changed his name legally to Moon Soon. But we've got Scott with us, So and Reap Capital. He quotes says that we must rip. that's that's the quote. I'm joking, guys. Really, the
We
question
must.
that
We have
everyone
to.
has that we are going to try to answer, maybe give you guys a roadmap, maybe not. We'll kind of walk through it, look through the charts. It doesn't mean that the charts are necessarily right. We're playing with statistics and probabilities. I wouldn't be betting my life savings on, the short-term market movements. But when is this going to rip? That's the question that everyone is asking in uranium. When is it going to rip? And I've got Moon Soon on here. That's hard to say. Moon Soon. Say that fast like 20 times in a row. Hey guys, if you guys like his new name, put in the description link either Moon Soon or Win Moon and which name you like better. Throw it in the comment section, please. So, Moon. When are we going to moon in this thing? What time? What are you seeing in the charts? Is it ready? Are we primed? What are some things that we see or don't see? What should we be looking for? Those types of questions, I think, are what everyone's asking. So, what's your opinion?
I think we are very much primed.
So, you think we're primed? You think we're ready to go?
I think we're primed. I think we're almost ready to go. I'll just show you why. And there are a couple of charts that are really bullish for me, right? So we've got CCJ, obviously. I think I said in one of the shows that this I think is a key resistance level, right? So I'll just take this off for the
I
time
agree.
being. But you can see this line going across. It's hit it here, support here, almost came up here, hit it here, and then we hit it here, and then we busted through, and then we came back to retest. And right now, if I just make it into an hourly chart, we are
So
like consolidating right above it.
we're looking at Camco, and you're using Camco as our leader, correct? That's why we're using it.
Yes, that's right.
Yep.
That's right. That's exactly right. So I think this is just consolidating just above. So as long as we don't come back below it, I think short term it could be really bullish. And another chart is really YCA tells a story.
One of the questions that people always ask me or ask is, how long do we have to stay
Yeah.
above that line, in your opinion? I can give you my answer. I'll answer it first.
Okay.
The answer that I always give is the longer you stay above the line, the more bullish it is. So if you have a daily close, it's not as strong as a weekly close, which is not as strong as a monthly close. So the longer you stay above that support line, the stronger that support line becomes. Agree?
Yep. I 100% agree with that. So yes. So YCA is another chart. So for me, this is yellow cake, obviously, and this is just similar to your spot physical uranium trust, but it's listed on a London Stock Exchange. And so we've got a very strong candle. So if you look at the U.UN chart, for example, it's a little bit different because we haven't busted through the previous high here. But we are like, we've busted above this level, this key level here, and we are testing this level. Whereas with YCA chart, with the yellow cake chart, this looks really good in that we just have a very strong uptrend. So if I zoom out a little bit, we've got a very strong uptrend that's almost perfect. And then we're just making higher lows and higher highs, and it looks really good. It looks really good. And once again, if I just put it back to the hourly chart, you can see that there was like a little bit of bull flag. It might be breaking up. It might be doing a little bit of a double top, and then it might come down. Who knows? But who knows what it's going to do short term? But it looks really good. And the reason why I say that I think, are looking good just generally, if I just look over the next few months, let's say until the end of the year or until early next year, what I see really is the bigger picture, and this is the more important picture. I'll just delete that. And it is the Livermore's bullish cylinder here that we're seeing on CCJ chart. And why is this important? Because I think it's really important because once we bust through this could be the last, hopefully, fingers crossed, this could be the last test of the bottom channel here, in my opinion. And what that means is we can expect to see something like this. So this is Southwest Airlines company. I've shared it with you multiple times, but that was the last test, and we just blasted off, and there was no looking back. And we did have what you call, Andy, a little bit of bloody nose. So you've had candlesticks like this, where it gives you a little bit of a red sign here, like you might be seeing here, maybe. But ultimately, like you just follow through with fat green candles after this. So this could be something that you can see. Otherwise, I mean, it doesn't always look the same. So you don't go straight up. I'll just put this on a monthly time frame because I think that's more comparable. But this is Texas Instruments, and little bit of bloody nose, and then you still continue upward movement. Whether we blast through this or not, like LUV did, like this, I don't know. We might test the upper channel. We might come back down. We might just do this. Exactly what Nat Guest is trying to do right now. I think it's trying to like test the upper channel a couple of times right now. It's banging on the door. Texas Instruments did that back in the 1990s, but LUV just busted through. So what am I doing? What actions can we take from this? Just sit tight. That's the only action. I mean, I think we're still in very attractive accumulation zone for a lot of the stocks. So if you look at some of the names that are lagging, and what surprises me is some of my favorite developers lagging, and this is not financial advice, but like something like Bannerman, for example, has been lagging, which is quite surprising because it's a pretty big name. But what I think will ultimately happen is it's just going to catch up, play a massive catch-up game, and just blast through the previous resistance. So this is Bannerman, and obviously it's still stuck in this range, this triangle formation. Whereas if I look at something like DYL, Deep Yellow, which is a comparable name, it's already blasted through all of that. So yeah, if you look hard enough, there are lots of laggards in the sector, and I think it's still a very attractive accumulation point for a lot of them.
Yeah, I think there's other things that that I also notice as well, with not just things within uranium. When you start comparing uranium to other things outside of uranium, it seems to be outperforming everything. So I think that's another indication that this thing's ready to go. We're also valued very cheaply against everything else. So I think those are also things to note. Another thing that I think is quite obvious, at least to me, is that we are basically decoupling from the overall market. We've been coupled up kind of with the S&P 500, the NASDAQ. We've been kind of moving with it as the leverage deleverages out of the system. Now, all of a sudden, it seems like uranium's basically going to its own drumbeat. It's saying, I don't care, I'm going up, irrespective of anybody else. So I think those are all signs and signals
I agree with that.
that we're going higher with uranium. Now, we've got increasing interest rates as well. We're seeing interest rates just rocket higher on the 10-year, the 30-year. I mean, they are like moving. Do you think that's another tailwind for uranium? Because literally what's happening is money is exiting bonds, and we're breaking out on the 10-year yield, as you can see right now. We've got that nice kind of, or maybe even a cylinder pattern that we're about to break. It's kind of hard to say completely, but I'm talking about the level of resistance across. If you do a horizontal line, basically almost, somewhere in that range in there's a horizontal line that goes through starting there. Right there.
Yep.
And we're starting to kind of break through that.
Yep.
And I'm going, man, we are going to move with interest rates higher here. The 30 years also broken out on a long-term perspective.
Yep.
So what I'm trying to kind of tell everyone is we have a paradigm shift that's approaching us that we're going through right now. So we have this big paradigm shift that's moving from a declining interest rate environment to an increasing interest rate environment, which drastically shifts money flows. And it takes time. It's not going to happen like this, but those money flows, when they rotate, they're going to have to choose where they're going to go. If they can't go into bonds, which is a massive amount of money, and this is going to put pressure on stocks as well. And then you've got external pressures with energy crisis. I think uranium's going to, it's one of the last sectors in energy to go. The money's coming.
Money is coming in a big way.
Oh.
And this bond market thing is just huge. I think money flowing out of the bond market. If you look at the 1970s or 1980s, for example, it was a trade between bond market versus equities, right? So basically the trade was, if the bond market was selling off, then you know people would be picking that up, picking the money from the bond market, the proceeds from the bond market, and putting into general equities, and vice versa. Whereas right now, like the equities and the bond markets have moved together, and so money is potentially going to flow out of those both markets, so equity markets and also bond markets, and has to look for a place to go. What do we have? Energy crisis.
I mean, in the 1970s, it was the same exact setup as we have today, in my opinion. And what that is an energy crisis, a demographic coming into home buying years, and interest rates coming up all at the same time. So what we have is basically this concoction that's brewing up right now, which is basically the 1970s mixture that we have in this bowl here that we're stirring up. Except now it's on a worldwide basis. So there's a couple of things that I really want everyone to understand here. Everyone thinks that the uranium market's going to move off news. Everyone thinks that almost. What kind of news? What news could trigger this? What's the catalyst? Look at the news flow coming out of this. How come we haven't gone up? I don't think it's tied to news. I think it's tied not to uranium and the sector itself. It's tied to the external factors that people aren't necessarily looking at. So if you were to get out of the uranium bubble that everyone's in, and you step out of that bubble and you say, okay, where are these new buyers in uranium with big money going to come from? And when did uranium go up last time? In what market conditions were those did the uranium bull market happen? And if you examine the market conditions, which that's basically the whole channel that I have and the website and all that stuff, it's I look at the market conditions and I look at when these assets get priced differently. And we've got all of the ingredients for a uranium bull market, which means people don't want to invest in bonds. People don't want to invest in stocks. They're going to take that money and say, where do I put it? And then what's going to happen? They're going to see the energy crisis, a problem with energy, increasing interest rates, and they'll just say, okay, I'm going into energy. Screw it. It's an inflation hedge. And then they just pile it into energy. Uranium's in these ETFs and all these other things that people buy with energy. And even if we just get spillover money, the sector's so small that spillover money is going to like blow it up from the oil market or from the coal market or any of these other markets. So what else do you have, Scott? What else? What could blow this thing up? Is there anything that could? I mean, we don't want to be too negative here. We're optimists, maybe eternal optimists, I guess, at heart. But what could destroy this rally outside of maybe the obvious of a potential? You know, I don't even want to say it. I don't want to jinx this thing. But what are some things that you think might be able that might actually stop it?
I don't think anything can. I think the movement's just started. You know, like we've seen, you know, Boris Johnson, for example, come out and say, we've got to really be, you know, supportive of nuclear power. We've got, you know, the Biden administration, basically, the US government coming out to say that we're going to put in $1.5 billion towards securing purchase of uranium and nuclear fuel, basically. We've got China. You know, China's gone to Kazakhstan. I don't know why, but maybe there's going to be some discussion around uranium. So we've got a huge movement that's just started. Like, it's not like we're towards the end of this. Like, it's not just it's not, you know, like governments towards the back end of, you know, starting their discussions with, you know, various uranium companies and talking about supporting the nuclear power. We've just started this movement, which means I think there's that paradigm shift that you've been talking about. So I think we're a long way away. And I was actually thinking about this yesterday, and I was reading this book. I forget the name, but I was reading this book. I was listening to this book, and they were talking about the tulip bubble. They were talking about the Bitcoin bubble, tech bubble, all those things. And so basically, every couple of you know years or every couple of decades, you have these massive like bubbles where, you know, the price movements are not explainable. I'm thinking, what is the most likely bubble to come on next, where like the price movements are just not explainable? Well, we've got an energy crisis. We've got a sector that is so small that can attract, or that can move in a huge way. And by doing that, the price movement alone, obviously that leads to main media coverage, that leads to retail's chasing. I'm like, the most obvious sector that if I had to pick a sector that can see like tulip like bubble or Bitcoin like bubble, it might be uranium. That's kind of what I was thinking. Like it could be uranium.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a possibility that uranium is the next big quote, bubble, and it could be the thing that solves our energy crisis.
Yeah. Yep. And there will be a good cause out of it as well, in that we have the bubble and we finance the mining companies, for example, and we we promote production. and it solves the world energy crisis at the same time that it makes money for the investors who are early to all of this and who supported all the mining, obviously the mining process. So we could be at the same time we are promoting or contributing to solving the energy crisis, where we are promoting the safest form of energy, the cleanest form of energy, the most economical and efficient form of energy. At the same time we're doing that, we could just be making a whole bunch of money with it. So I think it could be a great outcome for all of us who are in this right now.
So in your opinion, what do you think we should see next in this bull market? Like, what are you looking for? What are some things that you're looking for in the charts? I know we've got the resistance level, we've broken through the resistance level, we've come on back. What do you think the next path is? Are we just looking for when moon soon, that type of movement, like we just go? Or
I think so.
Or do you think we could have one last pullback? I mean,
I think we're very close to going on a parabolic move. Like, I mean, it's just in terms of time and everything else, and also like just huge amount of news coming out of around nuclear power. And I know, for example, that the fuel buyers need to start sourcing their fuel soon. At the same time, Kazatomprom, for example, at the end of the year and beginning of next year will buy $500 million worth of uranium. I know that. Spot is probably going to go into premium and start buying pounds above ground soon too. So, and they just bought a bunch last week. So I think we are so close, I think. And at the same time, you've got the major producers like Rio Tinto and Kazatomprom announcing that they're going to go in a decline in terms of production numbers. So all these bullish factors are all lining up with the technicals. And what I think that the chart that aligns most closely to the CCJ chart is the MSI chart. And if you look at this, the number of bounces it's had and how clean it is. Let me just overlay it with this. Yeah, I think extremely similar.
It looks exactly the same in terms of the actual movements and whatnot.
It looks very, very similar. And so if I put this back here, that's kind of what I see. So obviously with the MSI chart, so this is Motorola. I mean, hold on, I think this is it. This is how you line up perfectly to the number of hits, right? So let's just zoom in. I'll just show you what I mean. Because this is zoomed in. The number of hits. So you started here, 1, came down 2, 3, came up, down here, bounced here, come down here, come up above here, last bounce, and then this is the bounce. And so this is what I'm expecting, to be honest. I think we go parabolic soon. And so this is where the fat portion, the most profitable portion, comes into effect. And we just see like solid green candles for 5 to 8 months straight. Once we're going to this parabolic move, once we breach, I think this level, I think it's a pretty good confirmation that we might be doing it. And once we properly break out of this Livermore's bullish cylinder, and once we start going parabolic like this, I don't know, Andy. We might see the 2006, 2007 type of moves in some of the smaller names where, some of them did 50x in 1 year. Like Bannerman, for example, did 50x within 12 months. And I think what is it? Energy Fuels, UUUU, or EFI at the time, did around 50x. Hold on, what did it do? I forget. It did something crazy within a very short period. Let me show you. So I think we could see something like this coming up pretty soon. That's what I'm expecting anyway. So let's just do a measured move from here to there. That was in less than 1 year. So in the smaller names, obviously Energy Fuels isn't a small name anymore, but in the smaller names, I think we could see some insane gains. And in some of the names, to be honest with you, with the smaller caps, I do expect, 10x in some of the names for the next leg up. And I'm not talking about to the end of the bull run. I'm talking about just the next leg up. Maybe I'm crazy, but call me crazy. That's what I think. That's what the charts are telling me.
So I know I'll try to ask questions that maybe people would ask. And again, everyone who's listening, this is not financial advice by any means. It's only our opinion. Please don't use it as advice. Now, how would someone like myself, yourself, an individual, how would they want to position in this? Like how would you go about looking for like would you want to start with Camco first, go into the developers? Would you try timing this type of movement, or would you just say, screw that, I don't want to play that type of movement? This is what I'm doing. We're going to have different opinions here, guys. This is very unique to the individual. So, yes. Or would you rather spread out and just hold these things and not try to do the timing? Like what would be your kind of strategy here to play this?
Yeah, so this one's a little bit hard because I always thought that I was going to get into the producers first and then start rotating them into explorers. I'll just have to observe and see what happens, because I think there is a good chance over the next couple of months still, the bigger names can still outperform the little producers. So what we saw back in the 2000s, for example, is if I just want to break down this leg, this bull run, right? This is what I see. So I think there are always, in most of the stocks, in most of the volatile asset classes, there are usually big legs. So what I see is from Chemico, from here to there, from there, that was the first leg up here, 1, 2, and then 3. That was the last blow off top, right? What I see with Chemico this time around is, I think this is the first leg. We're gonna have a second leg up that looks something like this, maybe. Oh, ignore the prices, but I'm just drawing out what it could look like. And then we're gonna have a pullback and then do third leg, right? Something like that. So that's kind of what I'm expecting to see in Chemico. And so if you look at the last run and where they performed the best, so at the beginning stage of the bull run, from here to this first leg up, producers performed the best. Producers performed the best, which is why when I first started buying, I went into the bigger names like Paladin was obviously my biggest, Paladin Energy in Australia, Boss Energy, for example. Boss Energy I don't have anymore because I rotated out of it. And so bigger names is what I want to be positioned in initially. And obviously you don't know when it's starting off like this, you don't really know if the bull's started yet, right? So it's funnily enough, those positioned here, yes, there's definitely undervalued aspect of it, but you don't really know it until you see a clear trend change where the money is properly flowing in or not. So what happens in the next leg of the bull run here is, for example, Chemico still outperformed until the mid run here. So Chemico outperformed pretty much everything else, all the smaller names, from around here to around there. And then the developers and explorers just went berserk. So right now, I think I don't know if you can time that stuff though. So I think we could just be like around here, maybe in Chemico. Like if you wanted to compare it to the previous run, we could be here where we see a couple of months or a couple of weeks of outperformance by the major names, like we're seeing right now, because Chemico is now trying to breach its all-time high. Paladin Energy, for example, is near its all-time high. Some of the other bigger names like Deep Yellow, for example, which just become pretty big now, is trying to breach all-time high. So you're seeing bigger names pick up first, and a lot of and Boss Energy, for example, is obviously trying to test its all-time high as well. So you've got all these bigger names that are showing a lot of strength against the smaller names. But I think that will change mid-run, next leg up, just like we've seen. And that's what typically kind of happens with a lot of the gold and silver stocks as well. It's always the bigger producers that run first. And then during the second leg up and during when it starts going parabolic, that's when the small mid caps and all the smaller explorers really play a massive catch up. And that's kind of what I'm expecting from this run. So up until here, I'm expecting Chemico, Paladin, all those bigger names to try outperform everything else. And then mid run, I think everything's just going to go absolutely berserk and just explode. So your explorers and developers. And obviously this leg up is where explorers will benefit the most.
So if we were to compare where we are today, where are we in comparison to that? Are we at the end of the first leg, do you think? And we're just starting that second leg?
I think we're here.
Yeah. We're just starting the second leg.
I think we're here. Yes. I think we are. If we break out of this channel, I think that's a proper sign that we've started the second leg up. And I think there will be at least, and the funny thing is, obviously, Chemico flattened out here, but explorers went on to run like this afterwards as well. So we could see something like this where Chemico does 1, 2, 3 big legs up and then it flattens out. Whereas with the explorers, they've got 2 more legs left after this leg up. So that could be something to watch out for as well.
Now, with the moves that are so explosive here, does someone even try to time it? Like, should we just start? I mean, that's the toughest question, because I know some people say they're going to say, I'm going to buy Camco and then time the move into some explorer and time the move into this other. It's like, I don't think you're going to be successful doing that. That's not how I'm doing it. I'm going in, like, I'm spreading out from the beginning and just holding on and saying, let's roll. Do you think it's possible to time this stuff?
You can try, but I don't know if I'm so with me, for example, I always thought that I was going to get out of the producers early and then rotate them to explorers. But I'm continuing to think about that because I don't know if I can time it well enough. You know, it's very hard to time this stuff, and I think I might have changed my mind over the last couple of months, where I think now I'm just going to hold on, because I do have quite a number of explorers that could be like lottery tickets for me. So like, I don't know if I want to get greedy and try and rotate out of the producers into explorers. I don't know. I'll see. But I mean, this is definitely a point at which I will put after the 2 legs up. So if I see 2 big legs up, I will definitely be out of producers. I can tell you that. So, but whereas whether I hold on to my explorers, I don't know yet. I haven't really decided yet. I'll probably hold on to a portion of it for the final leg up, because this is where the explorers can absolutely go berserk, right? Because if you look at Bannerman, for example, which was almost an explorer last time round, this is what I'm talking about. So Chemico did nothing here. This entire period here, Chemico did nothing, right? So it was flat for many years. Whereas Bannerman, this was the fattest leg up for Bannerman, which did 50x within 1 year. So by getting out of explorers too early and after the two next leg ups, you could potentially be missing out on a huge explosive move up in explorers. And so I just need to think that through. Maybe I'll trim. Maybe I will look at how much of a return they've given me, and I'll try and determine then. But like, it's too hard for me to say without looking at what happens to them over the next year or 2.
All right, everyone. I think that's all we have for today. What do you think, Scott? Do you have anything else to share?
Yes, just a quick Bible verse, if you don't mind. So this is Romans 15:13. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. I hope you're all filled with joy, guys. And you, Andy.
Good. Of course I am. Of course I am. All right, guys. So that's all we've got for today. If you guys want to check out When Moon, check out Sow and Reap Capital, or Moon Soon, I should say. That's the new name. I forgot about that. And yeah, hopefully everyone's having a good day, and hopefully this helps you out on your journey for uranium. And Again, if you need any help, obviously you can hit up Scott on his Twitter at @u_ag_. You can obviously become a member of the Platinum edition of the website, or you can hit me up on Twitter as well. So, all right, guys, thanks for viewing. We'll catch you next time.